Good afternoon, Andy Atkinson here for RiseUpTV down at the LNER Stadium, and 11th round of the Championship today. We've got the York Knights entertaining Sheffield Eagles, 1 week ahead of a Wembley appearance for the Knights, but they'll want to get the 2 points in the bag today here against Sheffield, and they've had a week off, so we'll see how they go out in the sunshine. We'll get the opinions of our two coaches, see what they think about today's game. Yeah, I've kindly been joined by Mark Applegarth, York Knights head coach. Mark, Sheffield Eagles, the opponents today down here at the LNER. Your thoughts on today's game?
Yeah, dangerous opponent, if I'm honest with you. I know they're obviously fighting for their own league position, but you know, every game that we've watched, they've been in it, you know, right till the end. So it's not like they've been getting hammered every week. You know, a lot of games have been very close. You know, you're talking 4 to 10 points. So we're definitely not focusing on anything other than, you know, putting in a performance today, because if we don't, we'll end up getting burned.
Yeah, no temptation to sort of rest players with one eye on Wembley next week. You said you were going to go with the strongest team you could select.
Yeah, no temptation at all. I think it's too tough a game, if I'm honest with you, Andy, like in general rugby league, and I think the day that you start worrying about what comes next is the day that you get humbled pretty quickly, isn't it? So there's been no talk about, you know, any of that sort of stuff. We've named as strong as we can. Obviously, the only change that we've had to do forced is Scott's still carrying a bit of a cork, and you know, I suppose the luxury of having Ben Jones-Bishop cup tied last week is you can replace one quality winger with you know, another one. So that's the only change that we've been a little bit smarter with. Apart from that, you know, it's same as always. Whoever's playing well, whoever's training well, will get the shirts.
Yeah, Ben Jones-Bishop, you mentioned him there. He's been in great form as well, and playing against his old side today.
Yeah, obviously it's always nice, isn't it, as a player, when you get to play against your old teams. So yeah, it's just a quality player, and as I say, at the moment, you've just got to enjoy it. You've got 3 fit wingers, you know, and you just enjoy that luxury while you can, because it can all change in an heartbeat. And yeah, I've been on both ends of it, so yeah, just hoping he puts his best foot forward again today.
Sure he will. All the very best today, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
Right, kindly been joined by Craig Lingard, head coach at Sheffield Eagles, head of today's game against York Knights. Craig, your thoughts on today's encounter?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough encounter for us. You know, York are flying at the minute. I think they're the best team in the comp at this moment in time, form-wise. You know, the start of the season with 3 defeats, but you know, with the recruitment that they've done, got the players back, and I think, you know, watching the recent games, the 4 or 5 recent games, I think they're the best team in the comp at the minute. So it's going to be a real tough competition for us today. Yeah,
I mean, opening 20 minutes, that would be difficult today, won't it? The forward pack, they've got to show up front.
Yeah, they have. You know, we've got 17 players available in the squad. We had 16 this morning. One of the injured players put his hand up and said he'd play for us. So, you know, we're on bare bones. So it's back to the wall again. Back to the wall for us. So our middles need to stand up and be counted. We've only got one half back. We've got a loose forward playing at half back. So that's going to be interesting to see how he fares with that one. But it's going to be a good contest. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at that pairing, Jensen Widley, who's just come in from Castleford, who obviously you know from down there, and Titus Quaze. I mean, the thing about Titus is he's one of those guys, he'll show up wherever you put him.
Yeah, he will. I mean, Jensen, he came in on Friday. He's only had 1 hour's worth of training with the guys as well, so that was late. So it's going to be difficult for him. Young kid coming into a new team after one training session and leading the team around the park. You know, Titus is in the half back, but we're told him just to play as a middle, play his normal game, and hopefully Jensen can just jump in there and do what he needs to do. And we've stripped the game plan right back, because that's what we've got to do with a young kid coming in, inexperienced kid coming in at half back, and obviously only having one half back there. So we've tried to strip the game plan right back and take it back to basics, and hopefully that'll make it a little bit easier for us.
All the very best with it today, Craig, and
cheers.
Thanks very much for your time. I appreciate it. We've not done it. We ought to have a very quick look down the league tables as we wait for the 2 teams to come out. So we've got Toulouse played 10-16, Bradford played 10-16, Halifax played 11-14, Oldham in 4th place played 11-14, 5th place Barrow played 10-13, 6th place York Knights played 10-12. In 7th place is Doncaster, they 10 from 10, followed by Widnes, Featherstone, who are, of course, the Knights' opponents next week at Wembley. And then Sheffield Eagles down in 10th with 3 wins from their 10 games. So the Knights be looking to maintain that place in the playoffs today with a win against Sheffield Eagles. Waiting for the 2 teams to come out quickly down the 2 teams again. And we have those 2 changes for the night from the team that beat Bradford Bulls in the semi-final of the 1895 Cup. So it's Toa Mata-Afa at fullback, Joe Brown, Kieran Buchanan, Ollie Field and Ben Jones-Bishop across the backs. Ben Jones-Bishop, of course, in such good form, such good try-scoring form, playing against his old side, but replacing Scott Galliano, the Australian, who is out injured after that knock he took against Bradford Bulls, limped out of the game late on. The half-back pairing, Atta Hingano and Liam Harris. No change to the forwards from that game against Bradford Bulls. It is Jack Martin and Akumatai either side of Paul McShane, Jesse D and Connor Bailey in the second row, Geordie Thompson at loose forward, and off the bench Brendan Santee, Sam Cook and Kieran Hudson. And the one change there, Jacob Gannon goes to 18th man and Jack O'Neill comes back in on the bench. I told you the 18th man, it was Jake Gannon. Sheffield, what can you say about Sheffield this season? They're obviously undergoing changes. Craig Lingard coming in, number of players having moved out of the club, including Ben Jones-Bishop to York. James Glover has just gone, Morgan Smith has just gone. Players missing today for them, all influential players. Jack Bussey, the skipper, Joel Farrell, Corey Aston, Ryan Miller, and they've had to make dip into the loan market. So they've got Jack Walker, the former England Knight, at fullback. Jaden Billy, son of Marlon Billy, you may remember him, played for Swinton. On one wing, Matty Dawson-Jones on the other wing, and in the centres, Chris Wellham, the veteran Chris Wellham, is paired with Darius Carter, the Jamaican international who's on loan from Huddersfield. The half-back pairing, fascinating. Titus Guaze, the former Halifax and London Broncos player, normally a loose forward or a prop forward, is paired with Jensen Windley. Young Jensen Windley, as James was saying earlier, came through the youth development down there at West Hull, and he's on loan from Castleford. His first game today, I was talking to Craig Lingard before the game. He was telling me that they have pared the game plan back completely to basics to accommodate that half-back pairing. The starting forwards, Eddie Batty and Tyler Dickinson, either side of Corey Johnson. Corey Johnson, who of course played on loan for the York Knights. Ollie Roberts and Jack Billington in the second row. Jack Billington, another one on loan from Huddersfield. Martin Riley, who's just shipped in from Widnes, played against the Knights earlier in the season, is at loose forward. And then off the bench, it's Rhys Butterworth, another one who was experiencing a York Knights shirt. Evan Hodgson, the former Newcastle player. Blake Broadbent, son of Paul Broadbent, the first ever York Knights coach. And Lewis Peachy, another one who's had appearances in the York Knights shirt. They haven't even named an 18th player. Coach is Craig Lingard, just exchanging handshakes with Mark Applegarth down in front of us as we wait for the 2 teams to come out. Referee today is Cameron Worsley, same referee as we had against Bradford Bulls for the semi-final. And it is inclusion day down here today at the York Knights. So the Knights disability side coming out with the main side. They'll be playing a game during the interval against their Sheffield Eagles opponents. But a fabulous round of applause from the main stand as the players turn to face and the Knights in their black and amber, Sheffield in pink and light blue today. And quite a number of unfamiliar faces in this Sheffield Eagles side, but we'll see how they go They'll certainly be strong up front, won't they, Paul? They'd always have a decent pack of forwards, Sheffield Eagles.
Well, it depends on what their attitude is. If they think they can frighten York into being physical and by good physical start, then we'll see what the rest of the first half depends on.
Yeah, I mean, the Knights have been very good out of the blocks, haven't they, lately?
I wouldn't know. I'll take your word for that.
As the players line up, Cameron Worsley, the officials decked out in red. He's got the ball tucked under his arm at the moment. He's having a bit of a laugh and a joke with Paul McShane. It's going to be the Knights to kick off. They'll be kicking towards the north stand, left to right as we look at it. From the main stand here, you can hear the Knights fans are already in action. They're warming up for Wembley next week. Don't forget, we'll have full coverage next week from Wembley. Great build-up during the week in our sports programmes, and our sports programme next Friday. We're down at Wembley, 5:45 kick-off next Saturday. Sheffield lined up away to our right. We're about to get underway. The Knights will play with that swirling, strong breeze behind their backs in the first half that we saw cause such problems in the women's game earlier. And ball almost lost by the Sheffield player from Liam Harris's high restart, but he just did manage to reel it in, and then there's a horrible mistake at the play the ball, and Sheffield immediately have made an awful error, and they're inviting the Knights in very early here. Paul, this is going to take a bit of defending.
I think York will score from this. They look very nervous, to Sheffield Eagles, actually.
Well, I mean, the lack of familiarity with one another in the side.
It's got to be work against them.
It's got to be a worry, hasn't it? So here we go, scrum down, York Knights. And we've still got people walking past us, getting the seats as the Knights go for the try line through Liam Harris on the right side. He stopped just short. And then Connor Bailey. Connor Bailey trying to reverse over the try line and can't. But it's Paul McShane to the right of the post. Long pass into Geordie Thompson, moving the ball onto the left side. Atingano injects a bit of pace. Chance out wide for the Knights. Are they into the corner? Looks as though they've scored through Ben Jones-Bishop almost immediately against his old side. The Knights are on the board. Paul McDermott at the side of me was right on the money. And off the back of that Sheffield error, it is Ben Jones-Bishop who gets yet another try in York Knights colours, and at the head of the championship try-scoring standings, and he's notched another one, Paul.
That would actually a well-worked try, but the Sheffield Eagles defence were 6s and 7s.
Yeah, it was Ben Jones-Bishop's 12th try in York Knights colours, and when you think that he's only played the best part of possibly 7-8 games in Knights colours, it's a remarkable try-scoring record. But he's gone in at the left corner, and it was that little change of pace from Atingano that unhitched the Sheffield defence. A very nervous-looking Sheffield defence, it has to be said, on the left side, and Ben Jones-Bishop squeezing in at the corner for a 4-0 lead.
The Sheffield players behind the post don't look happy at all. They're all looking for 6s and 7s again. All trying to explain different things to each other. Yeah, it's there's a real old discussion going on back there as Liam Harris sets the kick up. Sam Cook doing some stretching exercises down in front of us, in front of his coach. And Liam Harris in the shadow of the West Stand looks to tag on the 2, but the Knights away to a very, very handy start today. Liam Harris gets a good strike on it. Fantastic. Oh, that's an absolutely perfect kick. He couldn't have struck it any cleaner if he'd wished. It was an absolute beauty. And the Knights lead 6-0. Very, very early. You're listening to BBC Radio York. All our frequencies and online, our second game of the day. Having covered the York Valkyrie against St Helens. Online, the Valkyries slip into a 16-12 defeat in that one. So restart for Sheffield Eagles. And they get underway again through think it was Jack Walker. Ball handed off by Joe Brown into Jack Martin. Sheffield will look to try and get their game underway here. It's a patchy old start they've had. Here's Jody Thompson running straight and strong. Eddie Batty in there at the tackle for Sheffield. Martin Riley also lends some purpose to the challenge. Akuma Tai, the former Huddersfield Giant, former New Zealand Warrior, gets the Knights out to the 30. McShane into Martin again. Jack Martin, one of those who's been holidaying in Sardinia in the break. The guy sent me some photos online and it looked absolutely blissful down there, it really did. Paul McShane just marches up to the play, the ball, looks for options, goes to Liam Harris. This will steeple. He was under pressure from Titus Quasi. Matty Dawson-Jones makes a horrible hash of it. Ball bounces, goes straight through his hands, off his knee and into touch. And
well, he's an experienced player, isn't he? And he stood up the ball. It's a tremendous kick in the air.
Yeah, I mean, any kick today that gets up high is going to take some handling. And Matty Dawson-Jones, he had to turn, didn't he? And ball going away from him, not easy. And the Knights once more in pole position to strike at the Sheffield line. Akuma Tai in the 17 shirt, driving hard close to that left-hand post. The Eagles usher him over the try line, so it'd be back to the 10 for the big man. McShane, short ball into Jody Thompson, who tries to batter his way through the front door, can't quite do so. Sheffield defence good enough. Tyler Dickinson, one of those in with a tackle. Eddie Batty as well. Ball goes on to the left side. Liam Harris going to score. Scores with ease. Just basically accelerated past some tardy Sheffield defence out there. And for a team that are, 6 minutes into a game, Sheffield just looked at completely dispirited and at 6s and 7s, Paul.
They look like they've just met each other. There was a gap there and did very well to score the try, but there was no defence at all. Nothing offered.
No. So, after Akuma Tai and Jody Thompson went close from Matty Dawson-Jones' error under the high ball, the Knights have scored again. It was the skipper, just backed himself, little change of pace, left side of the attack, and was able to step through the Sheffield defence and plant the ball down. And he's got good numbers for the season. That is Liam Harris's 14th try of the season. Some of those have come in cup games. Ben Jones-Bishop is actually ahead of him in the championship try scoring stakes, but Liam Harris makes it 10 points to 0 and he's now tasked with converting his own try. We've only had 7 minutes. The Knights in a 10-0 lead.
It's going to be a long afternoon for them.
It is for Sheffield at the moment, unless they manage to change the momentum at the moment. Chris Wellham, veteran of 400 games there with his hands on his hips and sort of shaking his head a little bit. You look at the experienced players that are missing to them today, and of course James Glover, who was such a Trojan in defence at the Eagles and formerly at the Knights, of course. He's shipped out, he's gone to Featherstone, and Liam Harris misses this time, so it remains 10 points to 0. Sheffield come back to restart again.
But all the off-field activities that's been going on, it surely must affect the players.
It must do, absolutely, absolutely. The changeover from what would you call it? The era of Mark Aston down there. So restart kick to come once more. Jack Walker gets us back underway. That one's got a lot of hang time under it. Joe Brown makes the catch, and Jack Martin, the former Wynnum Manley Seagulls player.
Gaps outlined there. They're not talking to you. Look at them gap there for Sheffield Eagles.
Yeah, absolutely. Being drawn in towards play at the moment, almost like schoolboy rugby league, that ball. And hopefully they'll reconvene out there. Chris Wellham's out there, so they do have some experience out there, and they'll eventually pull players across as the Knights approach halfway. That's Ingano to Tawamata Afa. For your first look at that gentleman, Paul.
A good step on him.
Yeah, looks like a prop forward, plays at fullback. Runs the ball in like a prop forward. Liam Harris, another high kick towards Matty Dawson-Jones. Bounces once off the turf and bounces dead, and it will be Sheffield to restart from the 20. It is 10 points to 0. We've had just about 10 minutes. You're listening to BBC Radio York, following the York Knights all season long, of course. Sheffield warming the interchanges up down the touchline as they tap and sort of get their hands on the ball for the first time. Here's Tyler Dickinson, former Workington and Huddersfield player, running the ball in, driving the ball in hard. Corey Johnson, 7 games for the York Knights under James Ford on loan. Played at Leeds, actually retired from the game, would you believe? And James Ford tempted him back out to come out on loan as the right side of the Sheffield attack fails to hook up. Ball goes to ground, eventually retrieved out there. And then Martin Riley takes the ball, absolutely stood still. So Riley moved in from Widnes. Good running by Eddie Batty. And the kick to come. Kick from young Jensen Windley on his loan from Castleford. Well taken by Tawamata Afa on the front foot, and immediately charges into the Sheffield defence. They try and usher him towards the touchline. Darius Carter, the Jamaican international, one of those in at the tackle. Fairly slow play the ball. Kieran Buchanan with the carry. And Joe Brown eases the Knights up towards halfway. Sky's darkening again, that bit of sun's gone. We're in for yet another change of weather this afternoon down here. Ingano, always so dangerous, so unpredictable, gets the offload. Sheffield failing to wrap the ball up. Here's Liam Harris again, right side the attack. Just drops the ball into Kieran Buchanan. Tries to go between Riley and Guaze, can't do so. But the Knights are within the 20 again. Here's Liam Harris. He looks hungry for it today. There's Liam Harris. Oh, the ghost! The ghost! Absolutely just... now you see him, now you don't. Sheffield player puts his hand up to say, well, I never saw which way he went. It was Corey Johnson. He'd be having nightmares about that one, will Corey Johnson. And Liam Harris just shoved the ball, had a little step, little change of pace, and he was gone, much like my team sheets, which has just left the premises in the wind.
Well, Sheffield thought he was definitely going to pass. They glided past 2 people who all thought they were going to pass, and then he saw the gap, bang, he was straight through.
Well, I said he looked up for it today. Liam Harris, the skipper, he's got 2 tries on the board already. He's up to 15 for the season, and he just took on the left side of the Sheffield defence and, well, what's the word? Disappeared, dissipated, dilapidated.
It's got to be there to be dissipated, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't there.
So Liam Harris just stepping through for the try from around about 15 metres out. And Corey Johnson, who missed the tackle, and Liam Harris will set about trying to convert. 2 of the Valks just coming past us, Ellie Williamson and Jazz Bell. Defeat today to St Helens. Tough old game that, 16-12, not a lot in it. Connor Fitzsimmons and Harvey Reynolds running the water today for the Knights as Liam Harris set the ball up. He's just outside the 20-metre line and about 15 in from the near touchline as the litter blows about in this swirling wind at the LNER. Seagulls aren't enjoying it either up there. They don't know whether they're coming or going. Liam Harris knows whether he's coming or going. He's already got 2 tries and 2 conversions in this 16-point total for the Knights after
successful conversion from your
13 minutes.
Harris, sponsored by Muckbound Model Shop, brings the scores to York Knights 16, Sheffield Eagles 0.
And the restart to come once more for Sheffield, kicking into the wind. Joel Farrell out there just trying to get 1 or 2 instructions into his Sheffield Eagles colleagues as he collects the kicking tee. Akuma Tai collects the ball from Joe Brown. Sheffield once more trying to get the big man over the touchline. And after quite a bit of ushering, they don't quite manage it. Connor Bailey.
Gaps again out wide.
Yeah, it's a skinny old line out on the right side as everybody gets drawn in, Paul.
Yes, he's got him very compressed. As Lingard.
Jordy Thompson pokes his head through the Sheffield line. Titus Guaze in at the tackle. And they move that ball onto the left side. Jesse D cuts back. Eventually held by Batty and Ollie Roberts. Jack Martin up to halfway. You're listening to BBC Radio York, all our frequencies and online. Second game of the day, the York Knights already in control here, 16-0. Liam Harris is at it again. Down the left side, gets the ball inside to Hingano. Hingano to Bailey. Matt Arthur in support, but the ball had drifted forward. Forward pass in there. I think Toa Matt Arthur just got a little bit too much pace on, got ahead of things. But once more, Liam Harris. Just, he's absolutely terrorising the Sheffield defence, Paul.
He is. They don't know what to do with him at all. Hanging off him.
Yep, Sheffield in possession. Corey Johnson. And Tyler Dickinson once more trying to add some impetus to this Sheffield effort. Matty Dawson-Jones in off his wing in the orange boots. Formerly with Bradford and Lee. Johnson again waits, goes short side, goes to Jack Walker, just dropped the ball off there, the former Leeds and Hull player. But they just about managed to hang on to Sheffield. There's Corey Johnson again, Dickinson deep ball into Jensen Windley. And then running onto the ball strongly, Jack Billington. Man of the match for Sheffield in their surprise defeat to Hunslet last week. That's off the outside of Jensen Windley's boot. And Eddie Batty caught the ball, but was well offside. Eddie Batty protests his innocence. I think when he looks back at the TV replay, probably realised that the referee had got that one right, Paul.
He was so far in front, he thought he were amongst the York players, wasn't he?
Yeah. So Liam Harris boots the penalty deep into Sheffield territory, but I don't think it's made touch. No, it hasn't. It's been retrieved by Jaden Billy. So little error there by the skipper. Went for too much distance. A little bit too greedy there, Liam Harris. And it's put Sheffield back in possession in the form of Chris Wellham. Wellham, who's had spells with Featherstone, Salford and Bradford amongst others. Certainly be a good player in a Sheffield shirt as well. Titus Guiseley trying to battle up the middle. Slow play the ball, Corey Johnson. Martin Riley with the carry. Deep ball. Back to Jensen Windley, swirling ball that escapes Toa Mataafa but bounces very conveniently into the hands of Joe Brown. The Knights leading 16 points to 0 if you've just joined us here on BBC Radio York. Ben Jones-Bishop, who got the Knights underway with that try after just 2 minutes, scoring against his old side. I suppose you could say he scored for his old side against his old side, because he's had a spell before at the Knights. Knights just over halfway in the form of Jordy Thompson, Paul McShane. McShane to Atengano. Atengano trying to trick his way through that Sheffield line, but they haul him down. Just about coming up to 20 minutes gone. The Knights have very much been on the front foot. Connor Bailey keeps the ball alive, and then it's knocked out of Liam Harris's possession. And it may well be the turnover. No, it looks like Knights ball. It had been knocked by a Sheffield hand, so the pressure will come on this Sheffield Eagles defence again, and they're certainly keeping this ball alive and playing some entertaining rugby league, the Knights, Paul.
Well, they might as well in this first half, because I doubt whether they'll be able to do it in the second half with the wind against them.
Yeah, the rain just starting again. Sprinkling of rain as Paul McShane jumps out of the play the ball, little flick on pass, and it could be Ben Jones-Bishop again.
No.
Looks as though he took a high shot ball. Turned over. What's referee Cameron Worsley decided here?
Knock on.
It was Ben Jones-Bishop going for the line. It was a little flick pass from, I think, Tawamata Afa that Ben Jones-Bishop stepped off his left foot but couldn't get in over the try line. Cam Worsley still making his signals to the players, but looks as though it's going to be Sheffield ball at the scrum. It is, and they'll set about trying to clear their lines. 16-0 down at the moment. Eddie Batty drives the ball up. Had a spell in France, did Eddie Batty, with Villeneuve down there.
It'll be warmer down there than it is up here now.
Yeah, it's not a great day, is it, Paul? Corey Johnson just beckoning at the play of the ball. On to Windley. Windley keeps the ball moving into Chris Wellham. Wellham dragged down in the tackle. Jesse D, one of those in at the tackle. Atengano also in there. Sheffield try again through Eddie Batty to unlock a door. And then the kick, early kick in the set. Bounces between Joe Brown and Tawamata Afa. It's Joe Brown who comes back, the former Bradford and Wigan player. And Ben Jones-Bishop just about rolls up to the Knights 30. Ingano immediately taking the markers on. I reckon he's a bit hard done by there, you know. I'm not absolutely sure the markers were square, and he's been done for a knock-on, so that little error from Atengano. Sheffield ball and a chance, first chance for the Eagles.
It's the first time in there this half.
You played a bit for the Eagles, didn't you?
I played more games for the Eagles than I did for York.
There you go.
99 games for Sheffield Eagles.
Where was that? Owlerton Stadium?
Stadium,
Yeah, the old greyhound track. What Eagles' first home as well, wasn't it? When they formed. So here comes Windley to Walker. No way through there. Kieran Buchanan and Connor Bailey doing the tackling. Corey Johnson. Windley just dropping that ball off into one of the big men, Tyler Dickinson. Up into contact on the 30. Jack Martin stops him. They go short side. Walker, short ball into Jack Billington. He's a big lad, Jack Billington, on loan from Huddersfield. Johnson drop-off ball into Martin Riley. Already played against the Knights twice this season, has the ball stolen. Referee Cameron Worsley dictates that either it was stolen after he called held, or there were two men in the tackle.
There were one man, but the one man dropped off, so you can't do that, can you? You can do it in Australia, but you can't do it over here.
Right. Thank you, Paul McDermott.
Right, all right.
In the summariser seat today, just keeping us in touch with the rules. Well done, that man. So Sheffield with another opportunity. I was just saying Martin Riley's already played against the Knights twice this season in a Widnes shirt in the 1895 Cup and the League. Sheffield moving this ball around. Titus Guaze dancing along the line, then tries to poke his head through the centre of the Knights' defence, which is unlikely to do. Ball shipped to Riley. Riley short ball.
Good tackle.
But again, good tackle. Jack Martin, I think it was. Little kick through. Who's going to get on the end of it? Hacked away by Joe Brown. Hacked dead. But enterprising work by Sheffield, and they look as though they're starting to get their game together a little bit,
more
Paul
energetic
McDermott.
in this half. Well, the defended up there all for this first 20 minutes. Now they look like they've got the ball in York's half. They're a bit more energetic.
Yeah, Corey Johnson's little grubber kick through that has got them a repeat set. Still 16-0 to the York Knights. 2 tries for Liam Harris, try for Ben Jones-Bishop, 2 conversions for the aforementioned Liam Harris. No thoughts of a short restart, and the bounce of the ball, jagging it away from Jensen Windley and into the possession of Eddie Batty, and that's a good restart when you look where that first tackle's gone in, Paul.
It was a good kick by the wind aided it, didn't it?
Sheffield forced back into their own half from that one. Titus Gwazi's got him a bit of go forward. Gets them about 43 from the Knights line. Here's Batty again. Batty will take over to Windley. Windley a short ball into Ollie Roberts, but he's tackled immediately. Eddie Batty again.
Good tackle.
Absolute workhorse. Great tackle from Jack Martin, the Australian. 2 number 8s in opposition. Here's Riley again. Quick play the ball. Windley. Windley knocked by what looked like possibly a late tackle by Akuma Tai. Not picked up by the officials on the last. Jack Walker, the fullback, to Corey Johnson. Thought about the kick. Skips back inside. Puts the grubber in. That one may well go dead. He got too much on it. Did the former Leeds Rhino.
Very enterprising from Sheffield, though.
Yep. Good quick play, the ball from Kieran Buchanan. Corey Johnson also had a spell with Bradford Bulls before moving to Sheffield. Change for the Knights. Akuma Tai comes off. Kieran Hudson, the former Castleford player, goes out there. Brendan Santi also out there, so we've had 2 interchanges for the Knights. I glance further up the touchline and see Jack Martin having come off the Aussie. Here's Kieran Hudson, whoa! And it runs straight over the top of Martin Riley. Great impact player, Kieran Hudson. Atingano just pulls out of the pass to Brendan Santi and takes the tackle. Knights within the 20 again, 16-0 up. That little early flurry of scoring has been stifled as the Eagles managed to get themselves together. Here's Liam Harris tormenting again as Connor Bailey drives through. Just about gets to the try line, just short. 10 in from the near touch line. Kieran Buchanan waits, goes to Harris. Harris ships the ball on to Hingano. Sheffield well served out there, plenty of defence in place. And they stop Ben Jones-Bishop out wide on the left side. They've certainly got the defence right there, Paul.
They saw what, I can't speak, they saw what York were tending to do.
Hingano kick knocked back
across
by a Knights player, but Sheffield back in possession. Sorry, you were saying.
So they saw some, I can't speak. The defence worked well, did Sheffield defence, I'll say that.
Sheffield managed to hold out. Jack Walker at the play of the ball this time. Heavy strapping on his right leg, the former Hull FC, Hull KR player. Penalty given against the Knights, given against Kieran Hudson, leading with the elbow. You can end up in the bin doing that these days.
Only on the television. We watch it 3 or 4 times.
There's Jensen Windley. A little discussion between him and Jack Walker here as to whether to go for touch or whether to tap the ball. I think that's what's going on. Against the wind, it'll need a thump. And he doesn't go for too much down range with that one. It finds touch fairly easily.
Triple substitution for Sheffield Eagles.
Darius Carter with the carry, another player on loan from Huddersfield Giants.
And number 30, Martin Riley, being replaced by number 15, Evan Hodgson, number 16, Blake Broadbent, and number 20, Lewis Peachy.
Yeah, after changes there, Peachy and Broadbent now out there in the front row for Sheffield. Evan Hodgson also out there. Reese Butterworth also introduced. Player who had one game on loan for the York Knights under James Ford at Bootham Crescent, Windley. Well, nice ball from Carter out to Dawson Jones, hugging the touchline, but had to cut back inside as the sliding defence of the Knights came across. Tackled by Kieran Buchanan. Here's Windley, he'll have to put the kick in. It's a grubber kick, it's straight into the hands of Toa Mataafa. The Knights full-back, really, really handily placed, Paul.
Good defensive work from York. Sheffield threw the ball about well there.
And being driven back there, Sheffield pushing Joe Brown back into his 10. Ben Jones-Bishop, as I say, playing against his old side today. And then Ollie Field with a carry for the Knights. Ollie Field, who's been pretty quiet up to now. Sun back out, the rain's dispersed once more as Jesse D comes forward. Good work by Jesse D. But the Knights on the last, only on their own 40. Kick to come from Liam Harris. Sets off on a run, still running, Liam Harris gets the offload, but it will fall into Sheffield possession just for a second. The Ghost looked as though he might go through the whole of the Sheffield defence, and it was only an ankle tap that stopped him, Paul.
I love it. I love when players, the seen opportunity, the last tackle, everyone was waiting for the kick. He saw a gap and he went through.
I mean, I've seen a lot of Liam Harris in his first couple of spells at York, the first one on loan from Hull, and, you know, in opposition against the Knights for the likes of Halifax and Doncaster, and he's at his very best at the moment, he really is.
He's outstanding this season.
It's Knights ball, the Sheffield player who went to retrieve the ball must have knocked it on.
Kick over, there's no full-back.
Yeah, no full-back at home for Sheffield as Kieran Buchanan bumps up into the Sheffield line, 30 out. Harris again. Drops the ball off. But it's come out of possession. Kieran Hudson losing the ball. Still 16 points to nil with just 9 minutes to go to the break. Sheffield have certainly stemmed the tide. Sam Cook about to come out and Jacques O'Neill for the Knights. Sheffield trying to make progress in the centre of the field, in the football centre circle. They've just about got to halfway at the moment. Here's Titus Guaze again, tries to step past Jordy Thompson. Without any success. Brendan Santee also in at the tackle. Kieran Hudson also there. Chip over the top by Jack Walker, down into the corner. Toa Mataafa goes across, collects the ball, adds a bit of pace, tries to go between two Sheffield players, brought down 8 from the Knights line. Liam Harris makes it to the play the ball, throws the pass, which has picked up just around his bootlaces by Ben Jones-Bishop, who's now heading back over his own try line. Jordy Thompson.
Eagles.
Yeah, good work. Orchestrated by Tyler Dickinson, I think, out there.
Leading the field, number 9, Paul McShane, sponsored by Clinical Technologies.
Changes for the Knights. Paul McShane comes off to allow Jacques O'Neill out there. Jordy Thompson replaced by Sam Cook. For the Knights having to drop out from under their own sticks with this 16-0 lead that they've held since minute 12. Here's Liam Harris with the restart kick. This one's a bit of a scruffy thing. Bobbles along the floor into the possession of Jaden Billy, the winger. And he gets greeted by Brendan Santee, who hit him pretty hard on the Knights' 30-metre line. Guaze looking for space to step through, and eventually the Knights cut him down by the ankles, but inside the 20. Rhys Butterworth looks round. Little pass in there from Evan Hodgson, trying to ease players through a gap. It was Lewis Peachy that he tried to get there. Lewis Peachy, who started with the Castleford Academy. Sheffield within 10. They go on to the right side and then cut back. Oliver Roberts, I think, trying to thread his way through, but the Knights' defence good enough. Butterworth again, deeper ball this time. Kick to the corner from Jensen Windley, caught by Joe Brown, quickly gets to ground. Great work by Joe Brown, the winger. Knew exactly what was happening and made sure he wasn't forced back over his own try line, Paul.
He took that very well. He dropped to the floor straight away so he wouldn't be pushed over.
This is Harris to Joe Brown. Joe Brown looking to get the Knights out of the 10 at the moment. BBC Radio York, all our frequencies and online following the York Knights Sunday afternoon rugby league. With Saturday evening rugby league next week. I thought that was some extravagant hairstyle the guy had away to our left then, Paul, but he's some sort of a joker, dressed as a joker. Kick through, well taken by Jack Walker, retreating for Sheffield, and then greeted by the advancing Knights chase, and cut down 35 from his own line in centre field, gets up pretty wearily there. Darius Carter with the carry, Jamaican international.
Well, Sheffield seem to have got over the first 10-15 minutes, haven't they?
Yeah, they were very shaky early on, but they've settled. You know, the influence of Eddie Batty and Tyler Dickinson contributed to that, and then a lot of good work at the moment. The likes of Blake Broadbent, Lewis Peachy, getting them on the front foot, finding a bit of field position as well. Rhys Butterworth. Oh, and a big wrap round the head. That's going to be a penalty. Connor Bailey reaching out. Referee's wave play on. Jack Walker comes forward, puts a kick in. Cannons off a Knights player, and they're coming back for the penalty. The head-high shot. And a penalty to Sheffield. I can't imagine they'll take a pot at goal, Paul. 16-0 down. They don't. Rhys Butterworth into Lewis Peachy. Peachy drives backwards. 2 appearances in a York Knights shirt under James Ford. They go to Windley again. Windley to Walker. Good ball. Matty Dawson-Jones scores in the corner. Well put together try by Sheffield Eagles. And the Sheffield fans enjoyed that one behind the sticks at the south stand. Just 4 minutes to the interval when Sheffield have got on the board. And it was Matty Dawson-Jones in the left corner after Lewis Peachy set the position.
Well, when Sheffield get into the York 20 metres, that Jensen Windley seems to have caused some problems.
Yeah, no, he looks handy player, doesn't he? I mean, you know, he has had a Super League appearance or 2 with Castleford. So it was Windley and Walker combining to get Matty Dawson-Jones in. The former Leon Bradford player sort of twisted in what was a non-existent tackle and simply just then had to pop the ball down, Paul.
It would have well worked try. It was very hard to defend against.
16 points to 4. Kick to come from Jack Walker. At the moment adjusting his kicking tee. They're certainly not in any hurry. The former Leeds Rhinos full back. Joel Farrell, the Sheffield Eagles skipper, carrying the water. There's Jack Walker. He's step back off the ball. There's some litter blows across in front of the post. Oh, it's a horrible attempt at a kick that goes.
You can't blame that on the wind.
Completely awry. Yeah, it was. In golfing terms, it was a shank. So we got 2:27 left to the interval, and the Knights lead 16 points to 4, but certainly the landslide that it looked as though it might have been in that first half has not come to fruition, Paul.
Well, Sheffield have organised themselves a lot better after the first 10-15 minutes.
Interchange for York
But I think
Knights coming on to
York
the
might have had a bit of a lull, thinking it was going to be too easy.
Sponsored by
Yeah, they were all at sea early doors with Sheffield. That ball almost bouncing into touch, big chase on it. It was flicked back in handily eventually by the Sheffield player. And Sheffield do regain possession from the restart. Jack O'Neill in at the tackle for the Knights, and then the carry by Evan Hodgson. 1 up, 1 down with the tackle. Sam Cook and Kieran Hudson. Here's a try scorer, Matty Dawson-Jones, trying to just exploring, let's say, up the left side of the attack. Well, they certainly found a bit of something of Sheffield, certainly, which are making easier meters than they were. Rhys Butterworth goes for the 40-20, well caught by Ben Jones-Bishop, just inside the Knights 30. And good work going forward by the former Leeds Rhino. Played at Wakefield, of course, in Super League.
Legend at Wakefield he was.
Yeah. Great pace, great try scorer. Certainly knows where the whitewash is. Here's Toa Matarafa in centre field. Played, of course, in the French Elite League this season. Kieran Hudson always strong into contact. 30 seconds to go before the hooter. Referee in the ladies' game didn't take too much notice of the hooter. He was on his own timing arrangement.
Would you drop a goal?
Holyfield just getting buffeted. Then Jack O'Neill trying to use Lewis Peachy as a fend, chips over the top. And the ball just about runs dead. Enterprising work from Jack O'Neill. He had his own ideas about the viability of the drop goal and whether he might sneak in for a try, Paul.
He should have thought differently.
Matty Dawson-Jones. Just again testing the right side of the Knights' defence. Kieran Buchanan taking a little bit of exception to the contact with Matty Dawson-Jones, but after Sam Cook and Rhys Butterworth were having a bit of a sleepover there, eventually the referee sounds, or timekeeper sounds the hooter for half-time. Cameron Worsley signals it's half-time. Sam Cook's very unhappy about something, in conversation with the referee, where that little clash with Rhys Butterworth, as the injured man Scott Galliano makes his way up the steps towards us. But that is half-time at the LNER Stadium with the Knights. They got out to that 16-0 lead very, very early, within 12 minutes. But Sheffield have worked their way into the game under Craig Lingard and certainly settled through the work of Tyler Dickinson and Eddie Batty. And tightened things up and managed to get on the scoreboard close to half-time. But Paul, your thoughts on that first half?
Well, the last 10 minutes of the first half belongs to Sheffield Eagles. They played more enterprising rugby and they defended a lot better than York Knights did. I think York Knights got carried away with the first, how easy the first 10-15 minutes were.
Yeah, do you think they went
on decisions?
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think they went away from the game plan and just decided to try and play sort of ad hoc, off-the-cuff rugby league?
I think 1 or 2 players saw gaps when Sheffield Eagles' defence, which were new to each other, had left, thinking it was going to be carry on for the rest of the game. It obviously hasn't. No player's going to give up.
So there we are. That Paul McDermott, his thoughts on the first half. Quickly through the action of that first half, Sheffield Eagles made an error straight from the kick-off, and it was a change of pace by Atta Hingano, who moved the ball onto the left side and got it into Ben Jones-Bishop. He went in at the left corner. Liam Harris converted. That was an early 6-0 lead for the Knights. On 6 minutes, steepling high kick from Liam Harris was dropped by Matty Dawson-Jones, went through his hands, hit his knee and went into touch, and from there Akuma Tai and Geordie Thompson promoted the Knights forward, and Liam Harris simply just stepped through on the right side of the attack for a 10-0 lead. Liam Harris couldn't convert that, but then went through the defence again. On 12 minutes, it was Corey Johnson who missed the tackle on the left side of the Sheffield defence, and Liam Harris was able to convert his own try. That was 16 points to 0, and from there Sheffield settled into the game, and they did get their reward with a try on 36 minutes, and it was Matty Dawson-Jones in the left corner after some good work by Lewis Peachy, the interchange prop forward, and young Jensen Windley and Jack Walker combined to get Dawson-Jones in there. So at half-time, with the Disability Rugby League teams out there in front of us entertaining the crowd, it is 16 points to 4 in favour of the York Knights against Sheffield Eagles in the Championship. With that, we'll hand you back to James Hogarth in the studio. around the Championship, particularly Doncaster and Bradford. It's very, very much nip and tuck there, and Featherstone in the lead at Barrow. Never an easy place to go, and of course Featherstone are the Knights' opponents at Wembley next week in the 1895 Cup final. And just to reiterate, we will have full coverage next Saturday on BBC Radio York. Loads of build-up during the week, including our sports programme on Friday night, which will be devoted to the 1895 Cup effort by the Knights. The Knights are out, but the Sheffield are keeping us waiting at the moment. But Paul and I are quite happy because the sun's reached us. We're a little bit warmer. We've devoured the cake, we've eaten the biscuits, and we've drunk the coffee, haven't we, Paul?
I could have known a bit more coffee, but that little skimpy bit you give me, I enjoyed.
So, still waiting for the Eagles to come back out. The Knights leading 16 points to 4. 2 tries by Liam Harris, try by Ben Jones-Bishop. Some ironic cheers for the Eagles as they come back out.
But they'll be coming out enthusiastic.
Yeah, the Eagles fans are singing. They're in good voice behind the sticks, and there's certainly they'll have the elements behind them in this second half. That awkward wind. Cameron Worsley, our referee today, from the I think he's from the Dewsbury Society. Trots out with the ball in hand. One of the young crop of referees. We had young Freddie Lincoln earlier. He's the reserve referee for this one. He's got his top on now, having acquitted himself pretty well in the Valkyrie Saints game. So Jack Walker to restart as the litter continues to blow around the LNER turf. And Jack Walker gets us underway. Ball just dying on Toa Mataafa, the Knights fullback, but he reels it in, hands the ball off to Brendan Santee. And then Kieran Hudson, that goal forward that Kieran Hudson adds.
He's done that every time he's had the ball.
Strong runner, Paul, absolutely strong runner. Sam Cook playing at loose forward at the moment. Just tried to show a little dummy and accelerate past Evan Hodgson, but not able to do so. And I just as Atingano takes on the right side Sheffield defence, and just struggling to get my team sheet back out because I've had to nail everything down in this swirling wind. Liam Harris, high hanging kick, awkward ball, well taken. Under pressure by the Sheffield defender. It was Jack Walker, the full-back, underneath it.
There were 5 players descending on him.
Yeah, good chase, enthusiastic chase, which is just what you want from the Knights. And then Darius Carter tries to come out of defence. He's cut down very early in the piece. Of course, these Knights players all, as well as having to eke out the 2 points today out of this game, championship game against Sheffield, they're all desperate to be selected for the 17 next week, Paul. Nobody wants to be sat watching.
Do they, Eck? No.
Kick through, jags away from Joe Brown, still jagging away from Joe Brown, but eventually he catches up with the ball. Bit of a chicken chaser for the York winger. Harris. Little ball into Kieran Buchanan, it was indeed. Paul McShane, Toa Mataafa again, always willing to carry that ball forward, the York fullback.
He does it very well. It's the first time I've seen him. He's playing well.
Yeah, big guy, and then Brendan Santee. Good impact by Lewis Peachy to knock the Knights prop forward to the ground. Ingano, deep ball, but ball escaping Toa Mataafa this time as he joined the line. It was fired at him by Ingano.
Credit to Sheffield Eagles, they moved up fast on him.
Yep, yeah, came off the defensive line quickly. And Jaden Billy with the carry. Came through the academy at Hull, started his career in the juniors at Siddle. Up there on top at Till. Reece Butterworth just moves up to play the ball. Goes to Guaze. I would imagine it's the first time Titus Guaze's played at half-back, but I'll stand to be corrected. Butterworth again, Guaze again. Kieran Hudson went looking for the big hit and missed. Butterworth left side. Little kick through from Windley. Clever little kick, may well score. Clever work by Jensen Windley. And a poor bit of defence by Toa Mataafa. Clean missed that ball as he went for it. And Sheffield have got a very important first score of the second half, and it's 16 points to 8. With just about 5 minutes of the second half elapsed. And you can see the quality of Jensen Windley there, Paul.
He's outstanding in way he anticipates the defensive effort of York are very poor at the moment, but he's anticipated that, so he's had a go, and it's come off for him.
Yeah.
Lovely kick.
Yeah, I was just going to say the weight of the kick was superb, wasn't it? Obviously mitigated by the fact that Toa Mataafa really ought to have reeled it in by the Knights, but had a bit of an air shot at it, and Windley was able to get back onto it and score.
But they're not doing anything other than just straightforward taking the ball up one-ups at Sheffield, so York need to be asking themselves why they're making so much yardage.
Yeah, good involvements from Guaze a couple of times. You know, hiking the ball forward. Another miss from the attempted conversion of Jack Walker, but the Knights really need to get tuned in. They look very, very good for 15 minutes, but somewhere they seem to have lost their way a little bit. I just want to make mention of our disability rugby league teams who were out here at half-time entertaining, and from other clubs as well, the PDRL and LDRL, Learning Disability, Physical Disability. Great to see them out here on Inclusion Day, putting on a show for the spectators. As Liam Harris kicks off, also want to mention you is All Blacks under 13. They've been on a 5-day rugby league tour down to the south of France. They played Lesignan down there. Didn't come up with the win, but what an experience for those youngsters, and great to hear of the All Blacks under 13s making that trip down to France to represent one of our community clubs. Mixed weekend for our community clubs in the National Conference. You're not missing any action at the moment. Cameron Worsley and Sam Cook are having a conversation.
He's off.
Sam Cook, looking at the colour of the card, I think this is red. No, it's yellow. Sam Cook gets yellow for the challenge down there. And the Knights suffer a little bit more adversity. That's only just a minute after Sheffield had scored the try. But it was Sam Cook with the challenge, heavy challenge.
He's a bit unlucky because the Eagles player fell into it, slipped and fell.
So, the Eagles with 13 against 12, and then they immediately dropped the ball, which the York crowd enjoyed, and it was Blake Broadbent who put the ball on the floor. Yeah, I was going to go on to tell you about our National Conference and York Men's League sides. York Acorn, they went down to reverse against Hunslet. ARL, 30 points to 16 down there at Thanet Road. Scott Rhodes, Heworth got a win. Tight win, 22-16 at home to Shawcross Sharks. And there was a win for New Earswick All Blacks on the road in the Yorkshire Men's League. Now then, the Knights, after that mistake by Sheffield, back in pole position. Drop-off ball, Kieran Hudson gets up ahead of steam, tries to burst through the Sheffield line, can't do so, gets to within 5 to the right of the post. Paul McShane, ball onto Liam Harris, Harris to Hingano, Mataafa, good shape, Ben Jones-Bishop scores! Nothing wrong with that try. Touch judges happy, referees happy. We're all happy. Ben Jones-Bishop, second try of the game. And the Knights have scored, short-handed, 12 playing 13 after Sam Cook was sent to the sin bin only a couple of minutes ago. But the Knights go in through Ben Jones-Bishop in the left corner.
Ben Jones-Bishop has a tremendous sense of spatial awareness. He knows how much space he's got around him.
Yeah, it was very, very tight to the whitewash, but no danger that he was going to go into touch.
No,
just had his feet all in the right place, Paul.
How many tries has he scored in his career, do we know?
Now, I can't answer that one and tell you how many he scored in his current spell for the Knights. But it is Ben Jones-Bishop's second try of the game. The Knights lead 20 points to 8. It was Liam Harris and Ate Ngannou combining on the left side of the attack to get him in. There's a young man down there running the water that you like as a player, Paul, and he's going to be struggling to get in the 17 for next week. Young Joe Law,
yep,
that they signed from Wakefield. Nice, having said that, Joe Law's such a player that his chance will come again, I'm quite sure.
Still a young man.
Yeah,
Coached his father in the Grateful Trinity Academy.
Martin,
yes.
yeah.
No, Graham.
Graham, that's right, yeah. Kick to
Martin
Liam Harris. Oh, what a kick. What a kick by Liam
Fantastic
Harris.
kick.
Right off the touchline. Really, really confident kick by Liam Harris. And the Knights add 2 more points to their lead, 22 points to 8 it is.
Conversion from York Knights number 7, Liam Harris, sponsored by Hook Bar Model Shop.
Yeah, I struggled to follow that lineage a bit. There was Graham, there was Martin, and then of course there was Neil who played at the Knights. The Laws we're talking about. Restart kick. Caught by Toa Matarafa. A bit of a no-look pass into Kieran Hudson.
Killing Oswald's speed fast.
Good job he was there. Yeah, Kieran Hudson, yeah. He's,
the great drives or take-ups.
He's been a good signing. I've been very impressed with what I've seen of him. And it'll be a battle of the big men next week against Featherstone at Wembley. Here's Brendan Santee. Hard-working Brendan Santee. Half an hour to go, 22-8 in favour of the Knights. One-handed pick-up by McShane into Hudson on his shoulder. Both came from Castleford during the close season. Kick to come from Liam Harris. Under pressure from Jack Billington. Well taken by Jack Walker. Hands the ball off. Darius Carter dumped to the ground unceremoniously. Windley. Looks a good player. Very slight at the moment. He'll fill out. Gets turfed out of the play the ball by Chris Wellham. That was a bit of age and experience there, wasn't it? Get out the way, let me in there. And Windley puts the kick in behind the defence. Toa Matarafa races back towards it. It bounces back towards him, and then as that rugby ball is prone to do, jags away from him. Pass to Ben Jones-Bishop. Decent chase, enthusiastic chase from young Windley, with a bit of help from Evan Hodgson and Jaden Billy. Oh, good work by Ate Ngannou. Finds Holyfield tight to the touchline. Holyfield made sure there was no way Sheffield would have forced him into touch. And Jordy Thompson still out there, or back out there, I should say. Both him and Paul McShane spelled a little earlier. That's obviously in light of next week coming up. You're supposed to say at that point, why, what's happening next week, Andy? McShane
Great.
Through a gap. Ngannou, drop off ball. Jesse D has to battle his way through. Ball goes to ground, knock on by Jesse D.
One pass too many.
Yeah, it was Ngannou and McShane combining. They set Jesse D free, but take nothing away from some tenacious defence there by Sheffield Eagles. They weren't giving that one up. It was Jaden Billy, Jensen Windley and Ollie Roberts that were doing the work. And they eventually managed to top Jesse D just 5 metres short of the line. Hello to our listeners down in Australia, a regular little knot of listeners who get up at all ridiculous times of the night to listen to us. Good to have you with us. And one of your own coming very close to adding to the Knights' lead. Then a great effort by the Knights to drive the Sheffield player back. Matty Dawson-Jones, I think that he was being forced back. And Jaden Billy off the other wing. There's Titus Quasi.
He's done some work today, Zach.
Yeah.
Titus Quasi.
Never takes a backward step, and always impressive. When I was doing the interview with Craig Lingard before the game, Paul, I made the point that it wouldn't matter where you played Titus Quasi, you'd still just get the same 110% effort that he puts in wherever he plays. He's just one of those players. Just loves the challenge, loves the contact. Little kick through from Sheffield that sort of skewed off the outside the boot and eventually fiddled its way to touch on the Knights' 40. Ball currently in the possession of Ate Ngano. Ollie Roberts finally comes off. I think that's a little knock. I did see Ollie Roberts limping a little bit earlier, the former Newcastle and Huddersfield player. So many players in this Sheffield side with Huddersfield connections. Jodie Thompson once more. Gets the Knights onto the Eagles 40. Brendan Santee in conversation with his coach Mark Applegarth as Jack Martin's back out there. The big Australian prop forward. Another man who doesn't know what a backward step is. McShane to Hingano. Jesse D, can he get through this time? Jesse D, ball back into McShane. Keeping the ball alive, they switch from left to right. Then a drop-off ball into Connor Bailey. Looks for a gap right in front of the post, and Sheffield reconvene and managed to stop him. Blake Broadbent, one of those in at the tackle. Harris, Jack Martin, and over on the right side. And eventually, there was just so much ammo being thrown at that Eagles defence that it had to give way, and it did indeed. And it's Jack Martin with the try for the Knights. And they now lead by 26 points to 8. And after that little blip where Sheffield got the first try, the second half, the Knights are now starting to find their feet again and accelerate away. We have had 55 minutes as Jack Martin goes in for the try on the right side.
Excellent support play.
It was good hands, wasn't it? Switch it across.
From left to right. Out of the tackle. Good communication from all the players.
Yeah, and Dian Ngano linking up well on the left side to make that initial sort of prod at the Sheffield defence that where the Knights were able to switch the ball onto the right. So
well, he's actually he's inserted himself in his last 10 minutes, hasn't he, into the attack.
Yeah, Jack Martin's made a difference since he came back on, certainly, and gets the try. Knights fans are singing as I get a cold shiver as our weather once more turns about 10 degrees colder in an instant. Sam Cook's back out on the field after his 10 minutes on the naughty step. And Ollie Field says to him, don't do it again. Kick to come from Liam Harris. Right to the post. Post swinging in the wind. Still high in the post, Liam Harris. Successful, 28 points to 8. The Knights with a 20-point lead here at the LNER in the Championship. Don't forget, if you want to get in touch, be good to hear from you. You can tweet us at BBC York Sport, text us, start your message with the word York 81333, or you can WhatsApp us again. Start your message with the word York 0800321 333. Jack Walker looks as though he's coming off for Sheffield, and Tyler Dickinson going back out there. That's a strange change. One's a full-back, one's a prop. But I suppose you'd have to say that Sheffield Eagles have got plenty of players playing out of position anyway today,
and
Paul.
they've got Matty Jones at full-back.
Yeah, it's Matty Dawson-Jones, yeah. Well picked up, Paul McDermott. Matty Dawson-Jones goes to full-back. Jesse D again running strong. Oh! Ran into Titus Guaze, stuck his shoulder in him and absolutely flattened him. Tawamata Afa. They're not a team to be bullied by anybody, the Knights. Jack Martin gets into the 30. And the drum and the choir are nicely warming up for Wembley next week. Here's Liam Harris, tries to prod a little grubber kick in, didn't really get much purchase on it, and it dribbles into Sheffield possession in the form of Chris Wellham. Darius Carter again with the carry, the Jamaican international. Here's Matty Dawson-Jones in his new position at fullback. Changes again for Sheffield. Lewis Peachy coming off. Martin Riley goes back out there in the 30 shirt. Kick to come, Lewis Peachy gets the ball up high, spiralling ball. Tawamata Afa jags away from him. He's done a lot of that today, is that ball when it's bounced, but that's great work. Bounced a couple of Sheffield players off, Paul.
He did well because he had to keep his eye on the ball when the Sheffield players were descending on him.
Pass there from Atingano, sharing a joke with Ben Jones-Bishop, because Ben Jones-Bishop was convinced he was going to get the pass and it flew over his head into the hands of Liam Harris. Two-try Ben Jones-Bishop today. Connor Bailey working as hard as ever on the right side of the Knights attack. Kieran Buchanan's at the play the ball, goes to his skipper. Harris drops the ball off into Jack Martin again. Jack Martin just absolutely relishes belting that ball up into the opposing defence. McShane, Scoot, out to play the ball. Hingano with pace, Matahafa. Oh, what a bit of what a bit of work by Matahafa. Caught it in one hand, flicked it away with the other hand into Ben Jones-Bishop, but Sheffield got defenders there. Hingano, ball goes to the floor, still goes to the floor. Big chance for Joe Brown. Scores in the right corner. And really Sheffield have only themselves to blame because the ball, Hingano's pass went to the ground. A Sheffield player had a good look at it, like somebody inspecting a £10 note that was blowing down the street.
I think he thought it was a forward pass. It certainly looked forward from where I was sat there, but the referee made play on.
Yeah, the Sheffield Eagles player just looked at it and left the ball, and the Knights picked it up and threw it onto the right side for Joe Brown to go in at the corner, and it's 32 points to 8. But the Sheffield player will be ruining that one, absolutely. On the hour, Joe Brown, right corner. Off, I'm not sure whose the assist was. The sort of non-assist was at Hingano's pass that went to the turf. But kick to come from Liam Harris. And that was after Ben Jones-Bishop had been stopped out on the left side. And once more that shadow in the west stand just about obscures the referee and Liam Harris, but they are out there. Joe Brown with a try. Joe Brown now with 6 tries for the season. Ben Jones-Bishop with 13 for the Knights, Paul, in this spell.
That's good going.
It certainly is, because it's about 2 a game. He's not played that many games since he came across. So Liam Harris to try and convert. His kicking by and large has been excellent today. That will probably put the spook on him with this one, as we shield our eyes from the sun. Hangs and misses.
Jinxed him.
Yep, I did. 32-8.
So the score, York
to
Knights 32,
the York
Sheffield
Knights.
Eagles 8.
And the restart to come from, who's got the kicking duties? Chris Wellham with the restart for Sheffield. Socks round his ankles, the trademark Chris Wellham look. Caught by Matt Affer to Geordie Thompson. So far as we know, clean bill of health for the Knights. Good work out wide. Ben Jones-Bishop accelerated, but then Matty Dawson-Jones comes across and makes an effective tackle. There was just a little chance he might get that ball back inside to Holyfield, who was, he took the pass from initially in his own half, but Matty Dawson-Jones doing a good job as Jack Martin just once more barrels into the Sheffield Eagles centre defence. Eddie Batty back out there for them in the 8 shirt. Geordie Thompson offload from Liam Harris into Connor Bailey. They're playing everything at pace now. The Knights, Paul. Geordie Thompson. So much threat they've got going forward. It comes from all angles.
He's a great player. Has been a great player and still is.
Yep. Paul McShane. Harris, right side, the attack, pokes the kick. It might have got too much on it. No, not by a Sheffield player with absolutely nowhere to go. Dawson-Jones it was, who's the fill-in fullback since Jack Walker went off. And it will be Sheffield to drop out from under the post. You know that wind we were talking about? I aren't sure if it hasn't changed direction.
It
has, hasn't it? It's behind the Knights now. Blowing into Sheffield faces, making the drop kick restart for Chris Wellham. Hard work collected by Joe Brown. Joe Brown stopped 28 out. 10 in from the far touchline. In front of the empty West Stand. Jack Martin and Eddie Batty in opposition. I understand he's a buffalo farmer in his spare time. Is Eddie Batty up at Penistone of all places, but it'd be like handling a buffalo. Oh, Sam Cook through a gap, scores. Great work, lovely incisive work. And that's what I say about the Knights at the moment. They've got a head of steam up again. It was Paul McShane that delivered a tidy little pass, I think, into Sam Cook, and he was able just to burst through, and the despairing Sheffield Eagles tackler couldn't stop him. Sam Cook forces the ball down, and we have 64 minutes gone. It is now 36 points to 8, and it's very much one-way traffic now, Paul.
It is. Sheffield seems to, they haven't given up, but they seem to have lost a bit of spirit.
Yeah. Yeah, we've said before, big job on Craig Lingard's hands. Came in from Sheffield from Castleford, sorry, to take over at Sheffield. He's down there in his bare feet, which is his trademark look. Great player in his time. You remember him at Batley, fullback. His support runs into the line was stunning.
Yes, yeah.
He just had the knack of being in the right place at the right time, and he had a real turn of pace to him.
He's coming to Sheffield at a difficult sign, hasn't he?
Yeah, very. Yeah. I mean, how difficult? It's unspeakably difficult. Sam Cook comes off, gets a little word in here from his coach, possibly a little apology. Sorry, Sam, you've just scored, but that's your lot. The old shepherd's hook.
Should pretend not to hear. Just stay on.
And Liam Harris right in front of the sticks will add to his personal tally for the day. She duly does. And that 20-point lead has now gone out to a 30-point lead. Some young fellas, some young fans down in front of me that seem to be enjoying it down here. Good to see them. Probably 10, 11-year-olds. Great to see them following the Knights. Do some great work in the schools, does the Knights Foundation. Mark Pragnell.
And a substitution
Adam,
for
the two
19
guys
in the field, number 19, Sam
in charge of
Cook,
things
sponsored by Chocolate
for
Fair,
the
and returning
foundation.
is number 17, Akuma Tai, in memory of Mike McLeod.
Sheffield have managed to retrieve the ball from the short kick-off, which curled back towards them. I was searching for his surname there, Adam Prentice, of course. Adam Prentice, the other guy who looks after the foundation work in schools. Sheffield in possession. Tyler Dickinson with a carry. Well, they've not completely given it up. They're hunting a try, Paul.
Well,
Butterworth, Batty, Windley. Matty Dawson-Jones swats off Liam Harris, and then Liam Harris bites back at him and just grabs him by the ankle and holds him down. Windley again, been impressed with him today. Eddie Batty charges onto the ball, stopped by Akuma Tai, who's back out there, the big man. Martin Riley trying to find a way through. Number of clubs, Martin Riley.
oh,
Picked off by Akuma Tai with the interception, would you believe? I had to rub my eyes and look twice then. Akuma Tai with the interception. Knights get to about halfway.
he passed it as soon as he caught it.
He did. It was a fabulous bit of work.
Great anticipation.
If you've ever shook hands with Akuma Tai, you'd know that that ball would stick because he's got massive hands. So the Knights are back in possession. That Sheffield foray has been swatted aside as Liam Harris comes forward, and here's Jordy Thompson. Ingano in support. Mataafa to field. Ben Jones Bishop hat-trick. Hat-trick in the left corner for BJB, and once again he's over that whitewash. It is quite remarkable. That is 14 for the season for Ben Jones Bishop. And the worst of it is, Paul, he can't play next week.
No, well, that was the easiest try he scored this afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good work, and Ingano again just orchestrating things on the left side of the attack. And utilising Holyfield, and Holyfield with the assist into Ben Jones Bishop, and Sheffield didn't lay a glove on him. 42 points to 8.
But all that came from the interception on the zone line.
Yeah, that great work of Akuma Tai. Yeah. Yeah, Akuma Tai just absolutely alert, just picked the ball out as Sheffield were hoping they were going to get a score down there. As the wind once more plays havoc with my notes, as it decides to whip up again. And Liam Harris now has to contend with it for his attempted conversion. Right on the whitewash, this one. You were asking me, Paul, how many tries Ben Jones Bishop has scored in his career.
Right.
Before today, he'd scored 200. In 318 career appearances.
That's terrific doing those.
Yeah, it's a good strike rate, isn't it? So here's Liam Harris. Can he push this one through the post? Titus Squazzi stood with him at the moment. Don't know what that's about. That's gonna miss on. Oh, it's hit the left post. Liam Harris turns and laughs. So 42 points to 8.
42, Sheffield Eagles 8.
And Titus Quase has been withdrawn, just walking up the touchline, looking as though he's given just about everything he had in the tank. Shakes hands with Mark Applegarth.
Well, he actually was waiting for him for the kick. In my day, they'd have been pushing past you and pulling the kicker off.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have waited for the insult.
Kicking the ball off the tee. Man, you didn't have a tee in your days, Paul. It was just a mound of muck.
Randoms. What are you doing to midfield? Ground two keeper used to say.
Substitution for the Eagles. Coming onto the field.
Players in touch, but it's a penalty. Sheffield Eagles pushing Joe Brown into touch about 5 minutes after the tackle had been made. It was Corey Johnson. He's now protesting his innocence, and referee Cam Worsley is saying, you can't do that. I'm sorry, my lad, you can't do that. I shouted held 5 minutes ago. Penalty to the Knights. Liam Harris just pumps it into touch, into the empty seats over on the far side. Bounced off a red one. Jody Thompson. He's had a quiet game today by Jody Thompson.
He hasn't had to do much, has he? Especially not this second half. Anyway.
No. Not by anybody else's standards, but by Jody Thompson. So nice offload from Jack Martin. Akumatai turning on all the tricks. That's Hingano. Holyfield. Left corner. And let's go back again at Akumatai. Took the pass, turned, saw a player to his left, flicked the ball into Atingano. Atingano attacked from 20 metres out. Holyfield was there in support. Atingano hung on as long as he dare and just made it an absolute walk-in really for Holyfield. Just such incisive work by the Knights and such awareness by Akumatai. You know, talk about rolling back the years. That was fabulous. 46 points to 8. Paul, your thoughts?
Well, it's experience talking there, isn't it? He knew what he needed to do. He knew he shouldn't be running the ball himself with the better players and faster players on the outside of him.
Yeah, Holyfield and Ben Jones-Bishop there deemed surplus to requirements on the left wing. He just had to get out the way, didn't he?
I think Ben Jones-Bishop has been shouting, give me the ball, give me the ball.
Yeah, I need 4. So it is another try for the Knights. It is another attempt at goal from Liam Harris. It is another one that's coming off the whitewash. But Holyfield gets the try. You've seen a bit of Holyfield. Jamie, his dad, didn't he play for Wakefield?
He did after I was coaching down there in the academy when he was there, yeah. Good player.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been so impressive. Such a good signing. I mean, you know, take nothing away from Clint Goodchild. He knows a good rugby league player when he sees one. And a developing rugby league player as well.
They're the ones you should buy. They're the ones you should buy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm not saying don't buy expensive players that are worth the money, but still buy the younger players.
Yeah, you've got to have a bob or two for that, though, haven't you? Jesse D being called on here to put his finger on the ball that keeps blowing off the kicking tee. Use a finger you don't value, Jesse. Liam Harris says, lay down there, I won't kick you. I promise I won't kick you. In these days of health and safety, you know, really, you should have a steel helmet on and a mask, shouldn't he? Jesse D, pair of safety specs. Here comes a kick.
Some metal gloves.
Yeah, metal gloves. Yeah, Liam Harris with a kick. And as the combination worked, he certainly, look at him having, they jump into one another's arms. A bit of a thank you there from Liam Harris to his mate for the assist. And that 20-point lead of the Knights that went to 30 points has just gone to 40 points. It is 48 points to 8 as announced by the wonderful Sharon Shortle. Then we've got 7 minutes left. I think you safely say the Knights have got the 2 points in the bag, Paul.
They have, definitely.
Here comes Akumatai. How wonderful for Akumatai to run out at Wembley next week, right at the end of his career. You know,
a dream.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and so well deserved as well, Paul. You know, you look at his input. Started New Zealand Warriors, Huddersfield. I mean, big stint at Huddersfield. International player. He's just having fun now, just distributing.
I hope he stays in the game and teaches. and coaches other
Yeah,
players.
lovely fella as well. You know, it's such a great influence on those around him at the Knights. I love him to bits. Atingano escapes the tackle of Evan Hodgson, but I think the referee has decided maybe there was a pull by a Knights player on one of the Sheffield players in back play. Liam Harris asking for a bit of clarification. Referee Cameron Worsley does the old arm waving and yeah, a bit of obstruction. So Jensen Windley for Sheffield, and chance for Sheffield to get the hands on the ball and a bit of a breather. Chris Wellham with the tap to the aforementioned Windley, and then Tyler Dickinson winds up. Had a spell at Workington, did Tyler Dickinson, before moving to Huddersfield Giants. Set restart, Martin Riley runs the ball in hard, still pumping eventually. Thrown to the ground by a combination of Geordie Thompson and Connor Bailey. Corey Johnson prompting that ball onto the right side. Sheffield go looking for their third try of the game. We'll ask Paul for his man of the match very shortly if he wants to have a think about that.
I've had a think.
Have 5 minutes left. You've been thinking about good lad. Tyler Dickinson tries to blast his way past Geordie Thompson, but the former Castleford and Hull and Leeds player was having none of that. I thought they were going back to the 10 there, but referee thought otherwise. Ball knocked down by a Knight's hand. Joe Brown. Going to be Sheffield ball. I was sure he was held up over the line and he was making him go back to the 10, but he played the ball about 2 metres out, so...
Too far for me to see.
Yeah. Mark Applegarth with his notebook tucked under his arm and his anorak on. Scrum for Sheffield on the 10. Centre field, Corey Johnson, ball in hand. 48 points to 8 to the York Knights. BBC Radio York, all our frequencies and online. Been an entertaining performance, and Sheffield get a try chalked off for obstruction. Quite ironic, and it was Darius Carter, the player on loan from Huddersfield Giants, that used his own player as a bit of a shepherd. And Liam Harris promptly boots the ball over the west stand, and the Knights come again through Kieran Buchanan. Kieran Buchanan, who played at Wembley a couple of seasons ago in the 1895 Cup final for Batley. He's going back next week. There's a Kumatai again. He tracks players in. They'll give him a good old ragging round on the floor. Reece Butterworth giving him a push and a shove. No respect for seniority there. Atingano with Evan Hodgson and Eddie Batty all over him. Gets up pretty steadily. Geordie Thompson, Martin Riley out the defensive line. Long pass from Liam Harris that escapes everybody. Bounced in front of Kieran Buchanan and bounced past Joe Brown. So the Knights trying to force the ball. Akumatai, I think, probably just
exasperated.
Saying why did we need to do that?
Yeah.
And the big man has a point, hasn't he?
He has.
So play the ball for Sheffield on halfway. Eddie Batty. Started at Sheffield, moved on, did Eddie Batty. Well, I think he started at Wakefield, actually. Then to Sheffield, then to London, then to Villeneuve, then back to Sheffield. Martin Riley, deep ball to Corey Johnson. Johnson to Evan Hodgson. Evan Hodgson brought to ground by the tackler Paul McShane. Here's Reece Butterworth, jumps out of the blocks. As I say, had one appearance in a night shirt under James Ford, and he got to try that day. I seem to think Batley might have been the opponents, but it's a long time ago. It's somewhere deep in my memory bank, is that one. Sheffield still in possession. Jaden Billy, Butterworth, Johnson, Batty again. Batty with Knights players coming forward to greet him, including Jesse D. Ben Jones-Bishop in there doing the tackling as well. Corey Johnson threads a kick in, bounces off a Kumatai. Picked up by Toa Mata Afa, the full back. Very alert and avoided being dragged into touch. Sheffield have tried that 5 or 6 times today. They've never quite managed it yet. Ben Jones-Bishop now for the Knights. 1 minute 38. Paul, think about your man of the match. Who we got?
I'm going to pick, it's been hard because it's been so exceptional.
Joe Brown coming down the right side from a long pass by Liam Harris. And Sheffield finally managed to get a player into touch.
I'm going to go for Ben Jones-Bishop.
Ben Jones-Bishop, hat-trick hero today.
The first 2 had to score. He was very brave in scoring the tries, and that set this pattern for the rest of the afternoon.
Yeah, Ben Jones-Bishop not available next week. He'll be an onlooker because of being cup-tied, having played in the 1895 Cup for Sheffield. But hat-trick against his old side today.
Your Jeff Price Player of the Match in partnership with York Chocolate Story is York Knights number 7, Liam Harris, sponsored by
And the sponsors man of the match goes to the skip, the ghost himself, Liam Harris. Sheffield still in possession as time has ticked away, and we just wait for Cameron Worsley to, timekeeper Jerry Kershaw just to sound the final hooter, and Cameron Worsley to blow his whistle. Ball fades into touch. Jerry's got the hooter in his hand because he sat right in front of me, and he's given it a good old shake. Will the Knights get time to play the ball? Cam Worsley glances across. And they do get time to play the ball. Here's Jack Martin. And there you go. Jerry applies the fingers to the hooter, and we've got full time here at the LNER, and it has been a comprehensive win for the York Knights ahead of next week's trip to Wembley. 48 points to 8 they've won this afternoon, and they've been good value for that, haven't they, Paul McDermott?
It's been a very good afternoon. Sheffield Eagles haven't given in, and they made them work for it.
Yeah, no, I mean, Sheffield, they had that rocky old start, didn't they, where they looked completely at 6s and 7s, but then, you know, they sort of held the Knights back, didn't they? 16-4 at half-time. They were still in the game, got that try early in the second half to reduce the arrears to 16 points to 8, and we began, excuse me, we began to wonder at that point, but then suddenly the Knights just turned the wick up, didn't they?
I think the Knights might have had them mentally thinking, lapse of what's the word, mind application.
Yeah.
You know, we need to win today for the rest of the championship season, but they just think they scored easy enough in the first 10-15 minutes, then they went off the boil. Second half, Sheffield come out, scored more or less straight away, and it gave them like a boost up the backside, and it kicked up the backside we needed.
Yeah, I mean, funnily, the key to the Knights putting their foot on the gas was Sam Cook being sin-bin.
It was the scored 2 tries, well, they were sin-bin, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, they scored that try, what, 2 minutes after he was sin-binned, and then scored. They scored on 48, 55, 60, 64, 68, 72 minutes. So there was a whole raft of, you know, 6 tries that came off the back of going down to 12 players.
And that were a case of throwing the ball about. Everybody being in support of each other, playing expansive rugby, not just driving the ball.
They do play an attractive brand of rugby going forward, don't they, Paul?
I love watching them. I do. I love watching them.
Yeah.
That's a credit to the coaching staff as well.
Yeah, Mark Applegarth. I think he will be up to speak to us, and of course, if we don't get that into today's programme, we've got about 12 minutes left, so it's unlikely we will carry that on our social media outlets, but rest assured we will speak to Mark Applegarth after today's 48 points to 8 win. My thanks to Paul McDermott for being with me today.
Pleasure.
Enjoyed your day out?
I certainly have, and I enjoyed that bit of cake.
I knew you would. He only works for cake, does Paul, so. But yeah, brilliant to have him alongside me today again. Quickly through the action of the second half. I said it was 16-4 at half-time. Sheffield scored on 45 minutes, and it was that young man, Jensen Windley, who looked very handy today on loan from Castleford, and he attacked the left on the left side of the Sheffield attack, and he put a beautifully weighted kick in. Unfortunately, Tawamata Afa had a bit of an air shot at trying to catch it. It went straight through him, and Windley was able to touch down after some good work, it has to be said, by Titus Quase going forward. A couple of really good carries. Sam Cook was then sin-binned on 46 minutes for a heavy challenge on one of the Sheffield players, but that sparked the Knights into a whole raft of tries, and it was Ben Jones-Bishop in the left corner with Harrison Ingano combining, converted by Liam Harris. Jack Martin on the right side after a Liam Harris assist. After Jesse D and Ati Ingano had combined on the left side of the attack, Knights just switched play over and profited from that. Liam Harris converted that one. Joe Brown went in the right corner. Strange one that, because Ati Ingano's pass went to the floor. A Sheffield player peered at it as though it was some strange artifact from the medieval ages. But did nothing about it, and the Knights picked it up and kept it going right. Joe Brown went in on the corner. That was on the hour. On 64 minutes, Sam Cook forced the ball down after a short Paul McShane pass under the post. Liam Harris converted that one. 68 minutes, Ben Jones-Bishop got his hat-trick, 14th of the season. Ati Ingano and Ollie Field with the assist after a Kumatai superb interception down in his own 10. And then on 72 minutes again, a Kumatai in an attacking phase this time. Just switch play back to it at Ingano on the left side. Wrong-footed the Sheffield defence. And Ollie Field went in on the left corner. Liam Harris converted, 48 points to 8. So there we go, the Knights will move on. It is Wembley next week. The 1895 Cup final against Featherstone Rovers. We'll be there, full coverage. But we've enjoyed our day down here. It's been a double header, it's been a long day. The Valkyrie couldn't come up with a win, the Knights certainly did. But with that, we will hand you back to James Hogarth in the studio.